It's Keel's Corner Rooftop Edition. What's up, guys? It's Keel. Today you're joining me from my roof of my house. Hopefully I don't die on film. If I do, I'll still post it just because it'll make ridiculousness or something awesome. But hopefully today I'm going to be able to tell you about a story that truthfully happened to me and something that I'm really proud of, that I got the idea actually standing right on this roof. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to come back up here and give it to you from the scene of the crime. But my yard, if you can see it down there, used to have a giant decorative mound that took up 2/3 of that yard, and I was kind of just bummed by it. My wife and I were, we had a kid, my son was first born, and I was just like, man, it'd be really cool to have a yard. And so we thought about, let's get somebody out here, a contractor, to come out and move all this. It was a huge mound full of dirt and rock and a couple, shrubs, and so we got a couple quotes, and the average quote was about $1,200 to come out and get rid of it. So we were kind of just gonna have to accept that, like, all right, that's what it's gonna cost. Well, I come up here during the fall and winter to blow out the leaves out of the gutters, and a book that I was currently reading had a great quote by General Abrams, and it said, "How do you eat an elephant? And eat it one bite at a time." And I thought that was just a really cool quote, because daily, or just in life in general, there's things that we want to do, but they just seem so massive and on such a grand scale that we don't really know how to get started. And it was a cool quote because it's basically like, the way you get started is starting, so just take one small bite at it. And I thought that was pretty cool. And the book that I was reading at the time also talked about just looking at things from different angles. Like, hey, if you can't solve a problem, kind of look at it from a different angle, or look at it from somebody else's perspective, and try and maybe you'll be able to solve it that way. And then I had like the most literal sense of that. I was standing on my roof and I looked down at the mound that took up, no kidding, 2/3 of my front yard. And from up here where it was more, you kind of get more of a flat look at it, I was like, it doesn't look that big. And then I was like, all right, I'm kind of a pretty good sized guy, and I got a wheelbarrow and an axe and a shovel. What else do you need? And I decided that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna eat this thing one bite at a time. Because I had literally read that quote that day. So hopefully I don't fall off the roof. That's what I'm bracing myself for. It's quite the pitch up here. And so I came up with a plan, because again, I was like, hey, I want to eat it one bite at a time, that same concept. Because the problem with that is if you go too full out, at some huge task or some huge goal, you can get burned out. You can get injured, or you can just be like, oh, it's too much. And so I was like, hey, what is a reasonable amount of dirt and rock and bushes that I can move every day and be able to do this? And I came up with 5 wheelbarrow loads. And so I was like, all right, I'll do 5 wheelbarrow loads. Shouldn't take me very long, less than a half hour, and I'll use that dirt and grass and put it on the other side of my house in the backyard where I had a low spot. So it's kind of like serving 2 purposes. I save money and I clean out the front yard, well, I guess 3, and then as well as I level out my backyard. And I did that. And every day I would go out and I would move 5 wheelbarrow loads. And I remember the first day I did it, my wife comes outside and I'm starting way on the corner. This is a huge task. I mean, it was 2/3 of my front yard. And she comes out and just looks at me confused. She's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm gonna move this mound. And I love her to death because she just kind of like laughed, nodded, and was like, all right, there he goes again, and just wandered back inside. And I finished the 5 wheelbarrow loads. I felt great. And I was like, I could do more, but I was like, nope, I'm gonna eat one bite at a time, just like that story. And I took a Sharpie and I put 5 little dashes on the side of my wheelbarrow. And I did that for 40 days. And every single day I was home when I wasn't away for work, I did it in the rain, I did it in the snow. I'm not making this up for YouTube. This is completely real. I did it literally in the snowstorm. I did it in pouring down rain, and every day I moved 5 wheelbarrow loads. And it was so cool because it became like a cultural thing around my neighborhood. People that walk their dogs daily would come out and they'd be like, I'm so excited every day to see the progress, because maybe they're gone for 4 or 5 days and they come back and they just see another chunk, another chunk, another chunk. And I looked at that mound as an elephant. And I was like, all right, I'm literally gonna eat this thing one bite at a time. And as I got going, I was like, oh, I can totally do this. And I think that's the key. So eventually, as you can see, I showed you the video, I'll show you one more time. I have the grass that I always wanted. And it did help that I had an image in mind, and my image was that I wanted to play catch with my son on that grass. I wanted my son and daughter to have area to run around, and that motivated me. But I think the biggest thing there to take away is, it's a one bite at a time concept. Don't go all out. Even if you feel good, don't get injured, just stay the course. And it became a habit. It took me 20 to 25 minutes by the end to do 5 wheelbarrow loads. And I would come home from the gym and I'd go right out and do it. I just left my jacket and the boots that I used all there, and it just became a routine. I created a habit. I would come home and I would move the 5 wheelbarrow loads. And I did it, and it felt really good, and it was something that I was really genuinely proud of. Like, now that I have grass every year, I just think about those days when I was out there moving it in the snow and in the rain and the cold, and I was like, I envisioned this in my mind, and it actually happened. And to me, it's that there's a huge lesson to be taken there that I'll tell my son, and now I'm telling you, is what elephant in your life are you timid or apprehensive to attack or eat because you don't know where to start? So come up with a game plan. Mine was the 5 wheelbarrow loads a day. I thought it was cool because every day I got to check it off. I got to use the Sharpie and make 5 dashes. And to this day I have it. It's on the side of my house. I still have that wheelbarrow load. I dated it the day I started, I dated the day I ended, and there's 210 wheelbarrow loads on there. So for people out there, whatever that task is, whatever that elephant is in your life that you want to eat and you want to achieve that goal, but it just seems so big, figure out a strategy to take a small bite of it and just create a habit to where you're doing that. And I think that's the huge lesson to be learned there, is that you really can do it. It's you know, the mountain climber concept where they're like, hey, it's just one step after another step after another step, and pretty soon you're at the top of the mountain. But the key to me was to not make it too aggressive, that I would actually keep doing it every day and I wouldn't get sore. So think about it today. Think about that goal that you wanted. And again, like my motto is do epic shit. Like that to me was so epic. And there's epic things in your life daily that you're probably putting off because they just seem too big. And those elephants can be eaten. And I promise you, I am not good with my hands, and I ate the shit out of that elephant in my front yard. And I have beautiful grass now because of this exact concept. So, you know, thanks to General Abrams coming up with a very simple concept for my simple mind, but that's something that you absolutely can do. So think about it today. Think about that goal, that big goal, or whatever you want to accomplish, and just break it down into very digestible, you know, pieces and an executable plan, and go attack it and do epic shit. Get out there today and crush it. I'll see you guys next time if I don't fall off my roof on Keel's Corner. See ya.